What's up, gangsters? It's one of those days, one of those weeks, more like, where I don't have anything really specific to talk about. I have been fighting some kind of bubonic man flu for the last week or 10 days or nearly 2 weeks now, and I'm only just today starting to feel any level of energy worth doing anything with. And but I'm bored and I needed to do something. Don't feel like doing any work to speak of, so of course that's the kind of day where I make a random video about random things with all of the thoughts that I've been collecting over the last 10 days while I sat around feeling sorry for myself. So, on a variety of subjects, let's check some things out. Okay, so one thing I'm like always tinkering with is gloss coats and black gloss bases for the eventual moment where I may decide to do something in natural metal finish. And that won't happen until I find a satisfactory way to get the gloss black base, and I'm just not there yet. So I tinkered a little bit lately with trying this. This is MRP Super Gloss Black, which is just a gloss black lacquer, in the hopes that I might be able to just get it done in one step, not counting the primer, obviously. And do what some guys do with Tamiya TS14, which is shoot a gloss black layer and then polish it, but without the hassle of decanting it from a spray can, because that's just silly. And here is the result. It's not too bad. You can see here the unretouched area. That's the just the straight paint. And then here you can see where I've done a pretty basic job of polishing it, but you can see what level of gloss I was able to achieve. I don't know if you'll be able to see when I zoom in close. You know, there are tiny scratches and things in there that you're going to get when you polish something, but it's not too bad. The way that I polished it was I wet sanded from 1000 to 1500 to 2000 and then polished it with Zam, and that was pretty good. I could have stopped there, but I decided to also take a go at it with my red and white Dialux polishing rouges, and that worked fine, but I learned a lesson. The way that I usually clean the residue of the red rouge off, because it's kind of waxy, is I just use some airbrush cleaner, alcohol, mineral spirits, whatever. Can't do that with this straight on this lacquer, because while it did clean the rouge off, it also sort of softened the surface. I mean, just a quick swipe of airbrush cleaner across there softened it and dulled it, and I was able to immediately polish it back. But still, lesson learned. The other thing I found was you can see right here that in gripping this thing hard enough to do said polishing, that I burned a giant thumbprint into it, which I would not have expected from lacquer that was a day or two old. So anyway, some interesting things there. Is it a solution? Maybe, maybe not. I also, if you guys might remember, I had done a test not long ago using some Mr. Color GX100 Super Clear. And so I did the same exercise of polishing that on this. And that is applied directly over Mr. Surfacer 1500, so same number of steps. And I think this is a better result for a couple of reasons. This stuff polishes better, it's tougher. I think I got a better polishing result for the same effort. And there are no chemical solvency issues. I mean, I can clean this off with just about whatever I want to and not worry about it being affected. So I like that. Right now, if I were going to do a natural metal finish with a gloss black base, this is the way that I would get it. Now I have one more test. I've got a bottle of Tamiya X1, which is their gloss black, on the way, because one of the guys in the Scale Modelers critique group showed a very compelling example of that stuff thinned with, well, I was going to say Mr. Leveling Thinner, but he actually uses his own version of Mr. Color Thinner. And it was super glossy without any polishing, and I was impressed. So anyway, that's that. Now, to go completely the other way, Matt McDougall has been going on and on about this stuff as being the best and flattest thing he's ever found, especially for an acrylic, and that did not come with the sort of chalkiness that I have found with Model Master Acrylic flat. So I got some, and I tested it, and holy black hole Batman, it is indeed the flattest of the flat. I mean, look at that. You can see it sprayed all over right here. Actually, this whole side of this fuselage. I mean, it is super flat. I've never seen anything that flat. Not even my favorite lacquer, which is Tester's Dull Coat, is that flat. I mean, it's so flat that it's just collecting dust out of nowhere. So I'm not sure how I'll use it, but I definitely will be using it. I don't know that it's going to be my finish flat coat, maybe for a tank or something, but because I really do like Tester's Dull Coat. Not only is it plenty flat for any aircraft that I do to suit my preferences, but it is super durable. So good stuff. Speaking of clear coats and more tinkering, one of our guys, also in SMCG, said that he had used some all-clad aqua gloss and then found that it got reactivated and damaged by Solvaset. And of course, I was even skeptical, but of course there was the usual crowd of nabobs who were like, "Oh, well, you did it wrong. You messed up." And the poor guy got really beat up about it because everybody thinks that aqua gloss is bulletproof. And I did too. Until I started seeing a few reports of aqua gloss from around the interwebs having this problem. And I have experienced my own issues with All-Clad's poor quality control with their gloss black base and with their black microfiller primer. So I was like, well, it's possible. And then then this guy said, "Hey man, I'm going to send you all this stuff and I want you to try it and see if you have the same problem." So I did. I chose the worst decals in my scrap box and I put them on here and I piled Solvaset on top of them after spraying a normal couple of layers of aqua gloss out of this bottle that he sent me onto this bench mule. And sure enough, if you look, you'll be able to see right there, I think, that the Solvaset ate the shit out of that aqua gloss. And in one place right here, I touched it while it was sitting there doing its thing, but in the rest of it, I didn't touch it. And you can see that it sure enough had a bad effect. So there you go, Bill. You're vindicated, buddy. You weren't doing it wrong. There is a problem, apparently, with this bottle of aqua gloss. And honestly, I can't say I'm surprised. I don't know what the deal is with All-Clad, but it's like they've totally lost their way. Lots and lots of reports around the internet of problems with their stuff. I mean, to the point where I don't trust them anymore. I'm not going to use my bottle of aqua gloss is fine. I'll use it till it's done. I won't buy another bottle. There are just too many other things out there that that don't have problems. He also sent me a bottle of their enamel clear coat flat and gloss, which both have horrible reputations for never curing. And so I'm going to test those out. So that'll be fun. Anyway, What else has been happening? I also have, if you guys remember, not too long ago, I did a review of the 3D printing stuff from Reed Oak, and I bought one of his 1/32 scale figures, which is this Russian infantry guy that I need to go with my crashed ep129. And I've got him all painted up, well, almost painted up. He needs a flat coat, and then he needs some eyeballs. He's a little vision challenged at the moment, you can see. But anyway, he's pretty well painted up. And the reason that I'm talking about him is two reasons. One is to kind of show people how he ends up looking, layer lines and all, with a few coats of paint on him. Not too bad. I mean, the layer lines are not offensive. They are still visible a little bit in a few places, like on the side of his face. If you really look, you can still see them, but not at any kind of normal distance. So I'm impressed again. Now, how did I paint him? That's worth talking about, because as you guys may know, I recently did a ridiculously long shake and bake of the new acrylic paints from Mission Models. And that was 100% an airbrush test. I wanted to do some brush paint testing, but I already had like 2.5 hours into the damn thing, and I didn't want to subject you guys to any more silliness. So I blew off the paint thing, and I used all Mission Models paints to do the brush painting of the base colors on Ivan the Terrible here, and I was quite pleased. I didn't have exactly the right color of khaki or whatever you want to call it for his Russian uniform, so I mixed it, and that worked fine. But I noticed something kind of interesting. This is a little bit, I don't know, esoteric, I suppose. But anyway, I have this little stupid thing that I use, obviously, as a palette for acrylic paints. When I need a little bit of an acrylic color to brush paint, I just squirt some in here and then use it and go on about my business. I did the same thing with the Mission Models paints in this lid right here, and I almost immediately noticed something, that when I started sort of mixing the paints, that it was actually lifting the dried paint underneath, which surprised me for an acrylic. And that may be given the fact that this stuff in the bottle like this does not have the polyurethane component. So who knows? But I just thought it was interesting. The bottom line is the stuff brush painted beautifully. The coverage was pretty good. I didn't get any brush marks. It was a real pleasure to brush paint with. So that makes it kind of a unicorn, because I can count the number of paints that are available to us that brush and airbrush equally well on like a couple of fingers. So for those of you guys that might be considering Mission Models paints, that might be another reason to think about it. Now for the blending, the shading, and so forth, I have continued on my quest to learn the art of acrylic basing and oil shading for figures. Not only does it seem to be the thing that to me just is the easiest in terms of my skills, but it just makes good sense. You can work the oils for a long time. They don't damage or interact in any way with the acrylic base. And so I worked directly on top of the paint, and I used this new set of flesh tones that I got from, I guess this is Mig Jimenez's lineup, these 502 Abteilung oils. I bought the whole set. It was a little bit expensive, about 35 or 40 bucks for all 6 of these, but I like it. It's good stuff. It's pretty oily compared to like a fast-drying alkyd oil. And I use it a little bit differently than I do for weathering, where I leach the oil out onto a piece of cardboard before I start using it, because for weathering, that makes the stuff dry faster and flatter. But it reduces the workability time, which is what you don't want for actual painting, like I'm trying to do on this figure. And that was a key thing that I learned from Carlos Starton, which, if you guys don't know who he is a badass British dude who can bench press like 9,000 pounds, but paints beautiful figures. And he does the acrylic base oil blend method, and he was the one that was like, look, man, you got to keep your oils really workable. So they do take longer to dry that way, and Ivan over there has been drying for about a week, and I think I'm about ready to put a flat coat on him and tackle the painting of the eyeballs. So that'll be an adventure. Anyway, that's kind of, I think, most of that stuff. I have projects going on, but I'm not going to get into all that. Here is the one final thing that is kind of fun that happened that I wanna show you guys, because you know, this is the sort of thing I would show my buddies if they came over to my workshop. So Tamiya Model Magazine. Marcus Nichols, the editor of said Tamiya Model Magazine, asked me last fall if I was interested in contributing, writing, and photographing a story for the magazine featuring the sort of infamous and totally ridiculous Spitador. If you guys have watched much of my crap, you know about this thing. And so I did. I wrote an article and had all the photographs, and I gotta say, I was uncertain how this would go, because I used to have some of my photography published, and that was pretty cool. But that's been years. And that's real simple. You send it in, they work it up and print it. But I'd never had done an article, so I didn't know how much editing or whatever would happen, if it would even look like my original article or what. But I got to say, man, these guys did a great job. I'm totally stoked. As far as I can tell, they ran my article word for word the way I wrote it. They used a bunch of my photographs. I mean, I was kind of flabbergasted to start with that anybody would want to run a story about the Spitador. And even more blown away at how cool it came out. So thanks, Tamiya Model Magazine, for that. That's a lot of fun to see. Not a big deal, because there are plenty of guys out there who have libraries of published work. So for me to just have one is not a big deal, but still a fun thing. So anyway, that's that. That's kind of the end of my random thoughts, I guess. Okay, so here's just a quick addendum that I did after all of the other stuff, because about an hour after I finished making the first part of the video, the mail call came, and I got my little jar of X1, and I wanted to try that out. So I mixed it 50-50 with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, sprayed it just like I do everything else, and then misted it over again with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, and I got this, which honestly is exactly what I would have expected. It's about like the other stuff, maybe not even quite as good, and certainly not as good as the pictures that the guy was showing on SMCG. So I don't know what the difference is. He says he was using his homemade version of Mr. Color Thinner, which is not the leveling version. It is different. And he's making it off of the MSDS for Mr. Color Thinner. And he was also using Tamiya retarder. So I don't know, but I've got some Tamiya retarder on the way, and I'm going to try that out because this is annoying. I want to get this figured out. Just as a quick experiment, I took some of the X1 and sprayed it straight out of the bottle, and really thick, to the point where when I sprayed it, all those little rivet details disappeared. And then I hosed it down with Mr. Leveling Thinner, and you can see that's actually a better result than the other thing. So I don't know. The truth is that the best result I've ever gotten with this method for a gloss black is using this, well, not just this bottle, but using this All-Clad Microfiller 309. And this stuff, if you spray it on heavy, it takes on its own gloss pretty quickly. And then if you mist over it with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, it's amazing. And I did that on the interior tub of my Porsche build, but if you guys remember, something happened to this bottle, and it started spitting out all kinds of crazy lumps, I assume, of the microfiller. And it turned into the disaster that was the Porsche project and resulted in me priming it and stripping it the first time after using this, and then using this again, getting the same result, and then having to sand it all down. And that's the reason why I'm fed up with All-Clad, and why I will never use this bottle of primer again. But there's something about it. The consistency is just right, that it dries slow enough that it will go super glossy. So I don't know, maybe there's a magic combination I can figure out using some other materials. We'll see. Oh, also, this is fun. I got to show you guys this because I finally got it. I have been waiting for this thing for weeks, while it seems like everybody else got theirs and I didn't. And that's this new Heller 1/24th Ferguson tractor, and I am super excited about building this, being a farm kid. And we actually have the one of these, or the later version of it, because this thing turned into the Ford 8N, and we have one here on our farm, and I spent a lot of time on that as a kid, so I'm excited about this. It'll be fun. Okay, so I better wrap this up. The little battery light is flashing that the camera's about to die. So anyway, that's it. Those are my random thoughts I've been collecting for a little while. I hope it was somehow, a good use of your time to listen to all of them and kind of check out some stuff that I've had going on over the last couple of weeks. So anyway, if you've put up with it, as always, I totally appreciate it. Take care, guys. Much love.